Welcome back, painting friends. Today we are going to paint a fun little gnome picture for Halloween. Colors you're going to need are teal, purple, black, white, yellow, green, and this is kind of like a skin color. Sorry, don't mind my fingers. I have two Crayola Band-Aids on them today. Paint brushes you're going to need. You've got your 1-inch flat brush, your 10-6, and one round brush. Don't forget to have a cup of water and a rag for keeping those brushes clean. And remember, if you love what you're seeing here today, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you're kept up to date on all of the tutorials. So for our background, I'm going to use a mixture of teal, purple, and white. And I'm going to do this crisscross pattern with these. So teal, purple, and white. And this is just going to kind of go anywhere you want on your canvas. So if you want it to be more teal, you're just going to add extra teal. If you want more purple, add extra purple. So we're just going to go with crisscrosses, just little X's all over our canvas to kind of fill in that background. When your background is finished, you are going to let that dry. When we come back, we're going to add in all of those fun details. With a dry background, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with my number 6 round brush, and I'm going to use that tan color for my nose. So I'm going to put my gnome nose just slightly off center. Just slightly off center. And all that's going to be is just a small little potato shape, okay? Kind of looks like it could be a circle, but it's a little bit wider than a circle. Just go ahead and wipe that brush off. Then I'm going to take some black paint and draw out a lot of the rest of my image. So with a little bit of black paint on my number 6 round brush, I'm going to start right here to the side. I'm just going to make a line that kind of swoops over and around and up past that nose. It's going to be my hat. It's going to kind of come over in at a pretty sharp point. And I'm actually going to have it kind of swirl over here. I'm going to skip a little bit of space for his beard in the middle, but I'm going to make my cauldron. My cauldron is just going to be a nice smiley face looking shape. Now on that smiley face, it's going to jet in pretty sharply at the points. But then from there, it's going to have a nice round belly. Underneath it, I'm going to make 2 little feet. And then 2 handles right here on the sides. For my crazy cat, right over here, I'm going to make a tall oval shape. In that tall oval shape, I'm going to make a super skinny neck. On top of that neck, I'm going to make what looks like a frowny face. I'm going to add a circle up here. Add 2 skinny little triangles right here. See, this is how I lay my drawings out. I always like to try to break it down to simple shapes so that I know what's going to happen next. Okay, right here I'm going to make a bump for one of his hips. And right here is going to be a bump for another hip. And those little cat paws are just going to come right down here. I'm going to take his tail, and we can kind of scoop and curl that around. And right back up here at the front, I'm just going to make these kind of connect at an angle. So now I'm going to paint this, and all of my cat parts in black. So I'm going to bump it in speed motion and get all of those areas painted in black. Let's work a little bit on our funky cat's hair, and then we're going to move back over to our gnome. So for my cat hair, these two little areas that kind of stick out, I'm just going to take some lines and make some wispy lines coming off of it to look like there's some fur. I'm going to do that there and also at the top of his ears. Maybe even a small amount on the top of his head. And on his back as well. Probably even add a little bit on his tail. I like that texture we're getting with it. For the beard for our gnome, I'm going to take some white paint on a clean number 6 round brush. And I'm going to start right by where it kind of curves out a little bit more. I'm just going to make a couple of lines that go down into where our cauldron is going to be. We can go ahead and just fill that in with white paint. It might take you a coat or two of white paint to put on there. That's okay. You can always let it dry and put a second coat on if you need to. Before that dries out, I'm going to take a little bit of white paint and mix it with some black just to make a really nice light gray color. And I'm talking super light gray. If it gets too dark, definitely try to lighten it up. But a really nice light gray color. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here and add some little lines just to show some texture with that light gray. All right, we are going to let this dry. When we come back, we're going to add in all of those final details. It is detail time. So you can make your potion kind of dripping over the edges if you want, or you can make it bubbly. So I'm going to do a little mixture of both so that you can kind of decide which one you want to do. But I want mine to be a really bright green color. So what I'm actually going to use is mostly yellow and a little bit of regular green on my brush. That's going to give me a really nice green color. I also want it to be kind of varied. So rather than mixing a whole bunch on my palette, I am mixing it as I go. So if I want it to be kind of ooey, goopy, droopy, I could start here and just kind of make a couple of like bulbs down, right? Just a couple of bulbs down, paint those in. And I can add just a few of those kind of anywhere I want. You know, maybe a little drip here and a bigger drip there, maybe the biggest one over here. And so you could just kind of fill these in with your droopy colors. And then you can also go in and maybe take the green and yellow on here and just make a series of circles. So by just making a series of circles, some might be small, some might be big, you'll have more of like a bubbly look, okay? And some of these I can even add like a small yellow highlight to the top to really kind of accent them. But you have a choice of doing all droopies or adding some of these bubbles in. And what's fun is with the bubbles, we can even carry up into our gnome's face. We're going to let that dry out, and then we're going to add a little bit more highlight to some of those areas. Wash that brush off. Now let's focus on some of these highlights other places. So with a little bit of white paint on my number 6 round brush, a nice clean round brush, I'm just going to do a small curved outline on the belly of my potbelly stove, as well as one just kind of right here along the center, kind of like a little smiley face. You can even add them right here down on the feet and on the edges of the hands. Up on my hat, I can just go ahead and outline. I like to call these ghost outlines, right? Sometimes you see them and sometimes you don't. They don't have to be a full outline. On my cat, maybe I can make a small little curved line at the top of his head, as well as maybe a couple little lines right here on his face. Also maybe this big tail, maybe this front part of the chest. Now my cat's eyes, I do want them to be another light green color, but I am going to mix that up on my palette ahead of time because I want it to be a even greenish color. And I'm going to make him look really funny, okay? So I'm going to give him big droopy eyes. So I'm going to start at the top, and they're going to come down into a big droopy shape, almost like a teardrop. Wipe that brush off, a little bit of black paint. I'm just going to make a straight line right down the center. I'm going to take a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow, make a little bit of a lighter yellow color for his little nose. Just going to be right here, just a small little dot. Now, if you want to add any kind of details or decorations to your gnome hat, you can. I'm going to go ahead and re-outline his nose just to kind of cover some of this purple up. Make it a nice, neat, finished circle. But if you want to add any kind of fun details, you can always put a band across it. You can always put some polka dots on it. I think what I might do, since I'm really loving these lime green bubbles that are kind of popping up, is I might just kind of play with that idea and just kind of pull some more of those up into his hat, and then that might be my decoration for his hat. Let's finish this out with just some highlights on the top of these bubbles. So I'm going to take a little bit of white paint on my number 6 round brush, and on some of these bubbles, I'm just going to add a small white curved line. And this does not have to be at the front or the back. It could be any place on these droopy, loopy bubbles and drops that you want. But this will just really kind of help separate some of those circles from each other and give you a nice little fun highlight. One more little highlight on his nose. Maybe a small one right here on the bottom of that side of the hat. Well, I think we have it. Oh, you know what? I lied. Because as soon as I looked up there, I feel like his eyes need a small highlight too. Oh yeah, there we go. Well, there you have it. When you're finished, make sure that you sign your name in a color that's going to show up well on your canvas. I always put my initials in the bottom right corner. Remember, I never get to see what you're making at home unless you post it to my Facebook page, Painting with a Purpose. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Painting with a Purpose, so you're kept up to date on all of the tutorials. And remember, as always, stay kind, stay creative, and stay safe. Have a great day, friends. Bye now.